In this section, what we're going to do is build the robot's eye and eyebrow, and let's look and see how we're going to do that. So I'm going to increase this size here, and I'm going to come into here. I'm going to increase the robot's size a little bit. I'm going to pull them down, and I pull them down using the 1 key. And so we can see that the eye actually sticks out a little bit, and there's the eyebrow right there. So when we look at that, we're going to keep that in mind. And then this is actually the eyeball that's sticking out a little bit more. So let's focus on these things, and I think we're doing a good job with getting this close here in the center. And we'll put that right in the center. Pull this one down a little bit, and again, I'm just holding the number 1 key down on the keyboard as I'm moving. So this is again a primitive, and we'll say a primitive cube. We'll take the cube. Let's make the cube smaller, narrower, shorter. Make it a little bit smaller before we move it up. And we move it up here to the face, and so we can kind of bring it over to where our eye is going to be, and we'll finish sizing it up. Okay. So there's the eye is in position. Now we see that the eye obviously is way too long, so I'm gonna shorten it up a little bit here. And this is really just kind of decoration, so it doesn't have to be real fancy. And so that is pretty much the eye. Now this eye, and you're gonna have to take my word for it on this, if I bring it up here, do you see how it has this kind of rounded edge, this little bit of smoothing? Well, that was something that I did on it, and I'm going to show you how to do that now. So we'll grab the cube, and down here we're going to say fillet. But if we do the fillet right here, it's going to be a little bit hard for you to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop to a new screen. I'm going to do a Command N, and we got a new screen. We'll get a cube again here, and in this cube I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to turn the fillet on. The thing that I want you to notice is that when I turn the fillet on, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 segments here that are making a rounded edge, and it says right here we have 5 fillet subdivisions, and this is telling us the radius, meaning that the distance from the center of this curve that's going over this edge here to the center of the circle that mimics that curve would be 40 centimeters. I don't want it to be quite that severe, so I'm going to grab this bottom arrow right here, and I'm going to pull it down. And you see how we still get it, and I'm going to zoom in on it again. But it's a much smaller radius, so it's much more subtle, and then it continues to look more like a cube. So when we go back over to the robot picture, we're going to do a similar thing there. The other thing too is that we probably wouldn't need 5, let's just say 3 here. And so you can see that what it does is we now only have 3 segments there instead of 5. which will be fine for us. So let me go ahead and close this up, and I will show you how to get back to the robot. We could get to the robot by going here to Window and going to our original one right here. But I'll just go ahead and close this one up, and it'll bring the other one. Do I want to save this? No, I don't want to save it. So here's our robot. Now, this brings up a wonderful opportunity to show you this so that we don't make a mistake. I'm going to call this, I'm going to say, let's do a save. And I'm going to call this robot build 1. Okay. And I'll save it. Now, if anything happens, I can always got this robot built to this point. And believe me, things have a way of happening. So, back to where we were. Now we've got the eye here, and get on our cube here, and we have a fillet subdivision, and we decided that we only needed 3. And this thing, we decided, is probably too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that down, and then I'm watching the corner here to look a little bit more like the eye that's in there, and we're getting close. And I'm going to say that looks pretty much like the one that's there. So if I pull up this, and again I'll pull it over here, we can zoom in a little bit, and that eye looks pretty good. So in the next part of the eye here, we need to put this little eyeball in the center, and that's going to be fairly easy. We'll just say cylinder. Now, here's the interesting thing about cylinder, and I'm going to say frame default. I'm going to say frame default on this so that we can see it. If you notice that the cylinder is going in the wrong direction. It's going in the direction of the neck, but we need it to go in the direction going this way, along the z-axis. So we have to reorientate this. Well, we learned that we could do it here in the rotate, but we're going to do it another way. See this where it says orientation? Right now it says it is orientated along the plus y axis. We want it to orientate along the z-axis. And there you go. And if we bring it up close to position, we can also see again that it has no fillet on this edge. This edge is very sharp. So we're going to add a little fillet to it. Here's caps right here. We'll do fillet again, and we remember that last time 3 segments was good here, and 1 was good on that once we got it down to size. And so now all I have to do is grab the handle. Wrong one. And that, you can see what that's playing with right here is my my radius. So let me go into my object here. And here's my radius. And take my radius down, and I'm looking pretty much right here now. And I'll pull it down. I have a 3-button mouse, so I'm using the scroll wheel on the 3-button mouse to kind of resize this picture. So here's my radius again, and I'm going to say that looks pretty good to me. Move it over, and again, as I told you before, this is not necessarily exact science here. We're eyeballing things so that they look good. Now we can see it in the center of the head. I'm going to push it out to the front, and I'm going to say that looks good. So now we have the eye and the eyeball done. Let's go ahead and do two of these eyebrows real quick. But you know what? I'm going to let you do those because you're going to do them the same way we did the eye, and we're going to move ahead to show you some other things.